Welcome to the IREL podcast. Are you sick and tired of real estate gurus pitching their next pre-construction deal only to find out years later they were completely wrong? Worried the next overseas conference you spend thousands to attend will only be used to sell overpriced lots in deserted developments? Join thousands of other international real estate seekers who are looking for their place in paradise without the sales pitch. Straight from your host, Taylor White.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the Questions For episode of the IREL podcast. I'm your host, Taylor White. Head on over to irelpodcast.com/Q4 for complete show notes. We have another solo episode today with yours truly, and I want to follow up on last week's question about what pre-construction means and go into another strategy I hear no one talking about, but in my opinion is potentially much more lucrative and certainly safer and much more time efficient. It's something I coined in Panama sometime back in 2005 when I started seeing some of the early buildings getting done in Panama City's boom and buyers not being able to close on their apartments as they either didn't have the cash or couldn't qualify for a local mortgage. And that is pre-completion. We understand that pre-construction is when nothing is being built yet. In construction is during the construction period and you can see work is being done. Then, of course, when the building is complete, all permits are in order, and your keys are ready, that would be completed. Being on the ground in Panama, I started seeing something very interesting taking place. You would have a lot of foreign buyers signing contracts to buy apartments in buildings that wouldn't be complete for usually about 3 to 5 years, with the idea of paying a small percentage down, usually something around 20 to 30%, either in a lump sum when signing the contract or smaller payments spread out over the construction period. No other payments due until completion, and the investor would try and time it perfectly and sell their apartment when it was ready and walk away with healthy returns. After all, the international real estate investment newsletters were telling everyone the US, Canada, UK, Australia were completely doomed. Flee the dollar and pound as they were falling off a cliff, and everyone and their mom were moving to places like the Philippines, Spain, Turkey, and Panama, and huge returns were assured. Whether you want to say this didn't happen because of the financial crisis circa 2007 to 2009, or these experts were just flat out wrong, is neither here nor there, the on-the-ground reality certainly didn't change. You had all of these investors, most of them foreign, who were buying pre-construction apartments that wouldn't be complete for years down the road, who would put down up to about 30% of their money and could no longer close on their contracts to buy their apartments. Because there were so many apartments being built and such a huge percentage of these by investors, the reality started setting in that not nearly as many people were buying completed apartments to either live in full-time or live in part-time and rent out when not in use as they were told. So let's not forget something. In overseas real estate, and by the way, I'm not talking about any Robert Allen or Carlton Sheets no money down strategies or getting cash back at closing strategies or anything like that. You have two main ways to make money in overseas real estate. You can either rent it out for cash flow, or you can sell it to another buyer for more than what you paid. Well, for the early investors who are intending to assign their contract before completion, which would then trigger their final payments, they were finding out it's not easy to live in one country, try and use local agents to sell, and then walk away with healthy returns as they hoped. Even though their apartments had appreciated during the construction period, they didn't have the cash to close, didn't intend to get a local mortgage or couldn't qualify, didn't understand why they couldn't sell to someone else to cash in on their appreciation, got frustrated and fed up with the entire process, and just wanted to get out as much of their down payment as they possibly could. So as a buyer, you could walk into almost completed apartments, pay pre-construction prices from years ago, and have the instant appreciation and equity. Let me give you a personal example of mine so you can start to see how this works. Back in 2004, when Panama's excitement started taking off, one of Panama's largest developers was building a brand new condo tower on Balboa Avenue in Panama City. They launched sales sometime in late 2004, I believe, and pre-construction prices for the apartment I later bought was $114,000. Well, 2004 and then 2005 came and went, and I could see the developer was delivering as promised. You could see floor by floor getting completed. You could see the parking going in. You could see the building's amenities being put in as promised, so it wasn't as much of a matter of if, but when. So by late 2004 or early 2006, when the completion date was more in sight, I started speaking with local contacts in Panama about available prices, apartments, and what they had available. I soon started to realize that much of the building's apartments were bought by foreign buyers who didn't have the cash to close or couldn't get a local mortgage, weren't able to sell their apartments as they hoped during the construction period, and simply wanted to assign their contracts to a new buyer and get back their original deposits. Being on the ground, I knew these apartments had appreciated considerably, and if I was able to buy at 2004 prices in 2006 and still get 2006's value, I didn't have to wait for it to appreciate, as I could be walking into instant equity. So that's what I did. I found a buyer who was thrilled to be assigning the contract to me, get back his original deposit, and wash his hands of his liability. I was happy buying an apartment at 2004's prices of $114,000, and within 6 months sold at 2007 prices of $210,000. Of course, this only happened because I was on the ground, spent considerable time with local agents and investors, and worked my butt off to be in the right place at the right time. I hope to bring you these kind of insider deals in the weeks and months to come. I'm working with on-the-ground insiders to alert me of fantastic deals the second they become aware. These won't be retail prices and certainly won't be the usual pre-construction deals most international real estate newsletters companies peddle to earn a quick commission and leave you out to dry. When my trusted contacts and insiders alert me of what they find, I want to share it with you. Make sure you never miss an episode or an opportunity. Head on over to irelpodcast.com/Q4 to get signed up.
You have been listening to the IREL Podcast with Taylor White. Be sure to hit up IRELpodcast.com for more. That's IRELpodcast.com. Thanks for listening.